Hello and welcome to All About You with OMG and Friends, where we talk about the things that you think about. I am your host, OMG, along with my co-host.
This is Lightning.
This is Silky Smooth.
And Daydream.
We'd like to thank you for joining us today, and we ask that you please join in on the conversation, where your thoughts, your comments, and your opinions help drive the conversation. Today our topic is geoengineering. Now, just for your information, there are documents located in the NASA archives dated October 2012 that should be a stark wake-up call for anyone still denying the existence of massive covert weather modification programs, which are coordinated by various governments around the world. This file report outlines in great detail the existing of expanding U.S. weather modification programs as far back as 1956. Now, I do have that document that we're going to put on our Facebook page for you to look at. It's about 97 pages. But at any rate, a full decade earlier than the date of the document in question, a special commission is outlined in this document to coordinate the multiple governmental agencies involved with U.S. weather modification, as well as independent contractors and universities, which the report also mentions. It covers the management of international impacts, legal and social ramifications, species disruption, biological consequences, to name a few. Now, this particular paragraph I'm getting ready to go into now needs a special attention. A rapidly increasing mountain of data makes ever more clear that almost none of us alive today have known completely natural weather. That massive covert government programs have been playing God with the biosphere for well over 60 years, perhaps even longer. Now, in recent years, the scope and scale of these devastating weather modification programs has been ramped up so much that the entire climate system and biosphere is now hanging in the balance. The lethal nature of the ongoing geoengineering programs cannot be overstated. Life on our planet is in free fall for many reasons, but mathematically speaking, climate engineering is the greatest assault of all against life on Earth. Documents like the one NASA has had needs to be shown to those that continue to deny the ongoing climate engineering reality. With each passing day, radical fluctuations in the weather continue to accelerate as a direct result of the ongoing geoengineering insanity. Geoengineering must be brought into the light of day and also to a halt. Now, I have more information, but more importantly, I'm going to say that earlier this week, the movie Geostorm was released. And Harvey, Irma, and Maria. Now, I'm one of those people, I will find acrostics. So H-I-M spells him. So anyway, Harvey, Irma, and Maria made landfall in Texas, Florida, and Puerto Rico, respectively. This could be the first year to have 3 retired Atlantic tropical storms or hurricanes since 2008. 3 Category 4 hurricanes have made a U.S. landfall in a little less than a month. I'm going to repeat that. 3 Category 4 hurricanes have made a U.S. landfall in a little less than a month, causing billions of dollars in damage and likely leading to the retirements of all 3 of these names, Harvey, Irma, and Maria, him. These storms have also displaced millions of people around the world as a result. Could this be depopulation? Is this a coincidence? Let's talk about
Population control.
I'm going to agree with that, especially considering the lack of response that Trump gave, and the little show that he put on while he was there.
Oh my gosh, when he did it, I mean, he's just so insensitive.
So yeah, definitely depopulation, but it's not just the hurricanes, because we also have to factor in, during this time, we've also experienced multiple earthquakes in Mexico City.
It's quite more,
and then of course all the wildfires and everything that's going on. So,
I do believe,
but I think the hurricanes just kind of
And see,
started all off.
in less than a month. Come on.
I have to disagree in the aspect that I don't think it's about population control. I think it's about a diversion. Every time we've got a president in office, we had a natural disaster. We had 9/11.
Well, we've had 3 since this guy's been there.
But the reality, we have also had more things to deflect from.
Okay, that's
and
true.
so, because if you think about it, if you think of the storm, we had lots of mass devastation, and its toll, cost into the billions, I'm sure. But not as many lives have been lost as one might have suspected for this amount of devastation. So it couldn't be for population control as much as it is to stir fear in the consumer population, so that you can make them, you weaken them down to see the leadership, or you weaken them down to have some faith.
Keep in mind also that
conditioning.
prior to Harvey hitting, what was going on in this country?
It was-
Racial divide.
That's
And
right.
Exactly right.
About to be
We
a civil
talked about
unrest.
that brought about us being united yet again,
Right.
to go through the process.
And it makes me wonder if maybe those powers to be that are controlling it weren't a little disappointed in how the outcome,
Right.
because like
Maybe
you know
they were looking
we
for
came
another
up with a
Katrina
whole
reaction.
we
I
came
think
up
they
with
were
a
looking
whole
for Katrina
theme.
result.
You know, Houston Strong came up with a whole theme that where people came together, and that was really the headlines of news is how neighbors and peoples of all shades and
That's always
races
the
and
case
ages got
after a
together.
catastrophe.
But it wasn't like that in Katrina, and I almost feel like that's like you said, Daedra, I almost feel like that's what they were hoping
seeking
for.
that. They
Yeah.
probably were. And they've been doing actually weather
So they're playing
modification.
backfired.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so to speak.
Oh,
yeah.
so there's gonna be something else.
But a lot of
Oh my.
times they do this. They have their own hidden agendas, and we still maintain, oh, that's the weather. To
No.
me, it was like an angry bird. It was a Hurricane Harvey, I'm speaking of, that came out, it hit, then it goes back in, collect a little bit more strength and, water and all that, and then come back out. Like, I'm still not done with you yet. That's not the way the weather works, I don't think.
Well,
Not
and you
that
have
I
to
can
take in
recall.
consideration Texas, did not participate in a lot of things in our former administration. And as a state, Texas is one of the more wealthier states. I mean, and Texas was hit hardest by it as well. I mean, so it's like Texas was hit hard to make them shake out their money. Puerto Rico was hit hard to wash them out of control. I mean, because they have no tax,
Depopulation.
they have no tax base now. I mean, it's more about the dollar than it is the
It's
human
always
casualty.
about the dollar.
It's
But
about
see,
the
Puerto
dollar.
Rico, Puerto Rico was always treated as the redheaded
The stepchild.
It's
stepchild.
outside, yeah.
You know, because people still don't understand that Puerto
They are
Ricans
US
are
citizens.
U.S. citizens. People,
Right,
it's a
he is
U.S.
still the
territory.
president. Yeah, he's still the
So
president
you
there.
can't sit there and say, well, their leader needs to help them.
Didn't he
That's
make-
your leader.
Their leader is
His
our
name is
leader.
Trump.
But didn't he make a comment one day saying that he was going to visit the president of the Virgin Islands or something like that? Big dummy.
He's gonna look at himself in the mirror.
Isn't that what he said?
I met with the president of Venezuela.
Oh, my
He is
goodness.
just
Yeah.
off the charts,
He's ridiculous.
I'm beginning to wonder if maybe he has a
He's
little bit of
bipolar.
very
yeah, he
special.
has a little
Something
bit
wrong
of
with
biological issue going
Bless
on.
his heart.
you
He's
know.
been touched.
He needs a little bit of medicine.
Now, as you mentioned earlier, Daydream, I didn't cover it. It was in here, but I didn't feel like going through all that. But more importantly, it's not just the hurricanes.
It's not.
It is tornadoes,
Mhm.
tsunamis.
I was
believe
gonna
it or
say
not.
there was
Tsunamis.
tsunamis and
Oh.
typhoons that were going on the other side
Absolutely.
of the
Absolutely,
world
that's
during
right.
all that,
Wait.
all at the same time.
See, I've had the privilege of getting out to see the movie. And so when you all see the movie, as you all are talking about these things, I'm having these visuals of excerpts from the movie.
See, and I wanted so
And
much to get out there, but I wasn't able to.
It's a really good movie, though. Quick overview: it's a man who leads into space to prevent the climate-controlling satellites from creating a storm of epic proportions, and his brother discovers that there's a plot to assassinate the president. And so, God, I don't want to be a spoiler alert, but and basically, in short,
But it
listeners,
ties in with what
it ties into what we're talking about. And in the end, one of the guys says, well, as a result of this, we've wiped out all of our enemies. And so there was
Wow.
someone
See,
in
y'all
the
hear
American
that?
seat controlling the weather to wipe out countries that they saw as enemies. And at the same time, those countries have developed their technology. What are they doing to us?
Absolutely.
They want to wipe out their enemies, us.
That's right.
That's
And what
right.
about inadvertently wiping out your friends?
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
so,
Somebody's going to
That's
get,
called
someone will,
collateral-
frenemies.
that is collateral damage.
Yeah.
Nobody really cares
yeah,
about
that's
you know?
exactly correct.
And so, HAARP has been around for a long time, and it means high frequency active auroral research program. And this is located in Jacuna, Alaska.
Yeah.
And this is where a lot of the weather modification has been done, but there is a movie you can watch. You don't even have to watch Geostorm. That was the newest one.
Yeah.
There is one that came out in the
That's the
60s.
Warner
I think it was
Brothers.
called
Brothers version.
Our Man Flint. Y'all may not remember this. Anyway, it's called, you can YouTube it, Our Man Flint. The movie opens with these people talking about they're controlling the weather. And the guy finally says, well, whoever controls the weather controls the world.
True.
And so that was, 50 years ago, 50, 60 years ago. So here we are living the results of this and the possibility now that none of us at this point may not have actually seen real, natural God weather.
that is so scary. I'm thinking
Think
about my
about
life
that.
and all
That
the
really puts
times I
things-
saw storms.
Right,
Think
that
about
brings
that.
things in a different perspective. You're thinking, oh, this is, Mother Nature, or this is what
Yes.
else. It's been Big Brother the whole time.
The whole time. As I told somebody else, it's kind of like there's a big puzzle. and they filled in the corners about 40 years ago, and for the last 40 to 50 years they've been filling in, getting to the center for the puzzle to be completed. And this is all straight in your face, in plain sight.
Right.
I'm curious to know if there's any listeners out there. If you saw the movie, please give us a call. Let us know what you think,
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
maybe you had a different perspective until you saw the movie. You know, maybe you never thought anything of it,
You're
and
one of
now
those
it's
people
come to
that
light.
believe it,
Yeah.
right?
So please give us a call here at the studio, 713-789-0096. Of course, you can always text. If you're not able to call, the number is 984-664-2638. And of course, comment on our live Facebook feed. It's only taken like 2 years for me to memorize that number.
Yes. Yay.
So y'all give us a call, hit us up and let us know what you think, or even if I know we have to have plenty of scientists out there. I have a few friends whose brothers are rocket
Conspiracy
scientists, so I'm interested to hear what they have to say.
And on that note,
And that movie came out in '66.
I did. That's what I told
Our
you.
Man Flint.
Our Man Flint.
That
Please
was
watch
some
that.
time ago.
We'll have to go to break. We'll be right back. Yeah, that's a good one. Y'all have to watch
You
that.
are
It
listening
opens, watch
to
it.
the
It opens up and it's with
James
James Colburn. Remember
Seven
James
one
Colburn?
three 789
Remember the name?
Stay
White
tuned.
hair.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, yeah, he was in the movie. Yeah, right. He's in the movie from 1966.
Wow.
They talk about somebody controlling the weather then.
Then.
So it's not in English. Yeah.
They have one in San. I met a girl yesterday.
Oh, I
at
got a
the
question before we close out. Maybe early voting starts this week.
It
There's
does.
several bond
For Harris
issues.
County.
You wanna?
Yes.
take
Oh,
that?
does it really?
It
Yeah,
does.
I could do it.
It's a big
Started
ballot.
yesterday.
It started
It's a
yesterday.
big
Okay,
ballot
make a
too.
comment.
It's
I was gonna
huge,
pull our
and I
picture
think a
out.
lot of people are not going to get out and vote because it's such a large ballot.
There's probably nobody out.
They-
Are we
but,
gonna
and it's,
use
but you know what? They're sneaking so much stuff past us that way because
Yeah, we can.
yeah, they're sneaking so much stuff past us. I looked at the sample
It's all
ballot.
deflection.
I
you
looked
can
at the
talk-
sample
yeah.
ballot and it's huge. I was like, oh my god,
I
I
need to
can't
make sure I
even
post
remember
that
Yeah.
all this
on our
stuff.
page.
What?
I know there's some stuff.
The voting
The early voting.
Yes, we need to put that on, and that's where a lot of this information came from for that NASA document.
They are sneaking so much stuff past us.
Well, I know. This is why you have the big deflector. You know, the hurricane, like you said, can be used.
You know, that's really true because we talked about that during the storm. Meanwhile, all this storm stuff was going on. Insurance things changed. You know, a lot of the
The
regulations.
insurance, what happened? Insurance
Regulations.
regulations and all that
changed.
switched up in the middle of all the storm. All of
That's
that
why they did all
happened.
that. As you
And then
said,
remember, we even talked because they were even talking about Obamacare and cutting funding for programs like CHIPS and all of that stuff. All of that happened while this was going on.
then bring that up in conversation because it's wow. People need to wake up.
Certainly impacts my life.
That's pretty baby.
I love that picture you took.
The cute one. He looks really good.
Because normally I'm kind of homely. Just didn't look
When?
Begin your journey to self-love today by visiting keys2loveself.com and place your order. That's keys2loveself.com.
I saw you and him walking in the rain. We all old.
I thought I was going to make you
This is
cry.
a hit when we were all young. We were all old.
I've been told it's
I don't know what all it is. That was old when I was young.
I know.
So
He catches the
we're
girl.
older.
Yes.
You may say I'm older.
I don't mean to snap at them, but in the last
No,
minute, happened to something.
nobody. I am not offended. I understand.
Yeah, we're ready.
It wasn't even really raining that day. Yeah, we're back. We are back, and we were on break just now. Said it probably wasn't even raining the day that this song was written.
It was a geo storm
It was a
in a
geostorm
building
they created.
in the studio because you know he was in the studio recording
Really?
that. Yeah,
Okay, there you go.
He was in the studio recording that.
We're talking about geoengineering,
Soundtrack.
and we're talking about the weather being, modified.
Yeah.
And later on, we're going to talk about it being weaponized as well. But Daydream, I think you had a comment that you were making before we went to break.
Yes, we were just saying about all the distraction and everything that was going on, and while we were on break, Lightning, we were discussing how a lot of things
yeah.
came into play or got
During that time.
correct. You know, there was the Obamacare that was a big deal, a big issue. So all of that was going on behind the scenes while we were concerned about Harvey and Maria and Irma and all that.
Him.
About him, okay,
Him.
when all that was going on, and also you know, insurance requirements,
Right,
and those laws, things,
Right.
regulations switched up in the middle of all that, not right in the middle of
Business.
hurricane
How can
season.
A lot of things expired right at that time. Yeah.
Correct.
They
Even
all
in with
expired.
Obamacare, they were even they're looking to expire, or it will be expired. Chips, you know, Medicare, that type of thing, at the end of this month for October.
People need to understand this is serious. This is plain
And,
in
and,
plain
and,
sight.
and then after that comes a new tax bill where he's proposing to roll out funding for businesses. Well, as these areas are most hard hit, who do you think needs the funding most, businesses or the consumers?
Wow.
I would say consumers,
I
but
would
most
as
people
well.
would argue, well, that the businesses is what creates the jobs for the consumers. So it's, you know, it really does seem like a well orchestrated web to, you know, create chaos, controlled chaos.
What a tangled web we need
Would
when we
we-
practice
To
to
deceive,
deceive, destroy, annihilate, you name it.
eviscerate all of it.
I know there
Exactly.
has to be some people that are listening that are conspiracy theorists, or even if you're not a conspiracy theorist, this is so real and blatant in our face. You know, we would love to hear your perspective. Give us a call, because this is just amazing that we've lived through this. As you said, like I said, I looked at the movie. It was in '66, so this isn't new. This is something that's
This
been
has been
around.
going on
for quite
people,
some time.
People don't want to
Yeah.
claim it or acknowledge that it happened. Some
But
people just
why?
want to aimlessly wander around
Yeah.
through life
Like all is
with
good.
no knowledge at all. And
I think people
Eyes
tend
wide
to
shut,
think
huh?
Eyes wide shut,
people
exactly.
tend to think that the president and God will keep us safe. Oh my God.
Yeah, you're better off with God.
Yeah, one of- one of-
yeah,
one
of the
will.
two will
Yeah,
keep
right.
us safe.
Okay, absolutely.
Yeah, one will get us at the other
You
one.
know,
The other is an agent for the Dark Lord.
Well,
that is very
No
true.
argument there.
all right, First Lady.
Hallelujah.
You see how we do over here.
Oh, my.
Now, also, I understand that weather is also a weapon of mass destruction,
Yeah.
or can be, because during the Vietnam War, they actually created and added 30% more rain to what was happening in Vietnam to stall the troops. So they even used it during the Vietnam War. So I think that may have been probably one of the beginning uses of it being weaponized.
Well, and it's been used. You'd have to say it's been used like to destroy crops and destroy
Absolutely.
farmers. You know, most of all
That's
of our
true.
American farms are no longer controlled by local family-owned farms.
Farmers.
They're owned by
Monsanto
large
and large
corporations, and a lot of that was controlled based on, you know, making it too cold, or, you know, an outpouring of rain. And what is really strange to me when you think about how uniquely designed Mother Nature is, that our eyes blink as something approaches its eyelash. It is designed with a perfect and infinite balance. How can it get so messed up? How does it not know what crops need when we rely on those crops so much? How did our ecosystem get so messed up? You have to
Because of
really
him.
ask yourself.
Because when we create
You have to-
droughts, then we can
That's right, we
you know,
create all
supply
that.
and demand.
That's
we
my
can
question.
increase,
That's
you
what I'm
know,
saying.
inflation.
It's not so perfectly out.
Something-
It's been manipulated.
It's been
It's not out
manipulated
of
for a long
balance.
time.
Yeah.
You know, so, and then they're forcing you to eat certain, they can create droughts, as you said.
That's right.
So they can make it now to where corn and some of the other Monsanto products doesn't really have to have any water.
You don't need dirt either.
I know.
You don't need a seed.
None
No
of that.
soil,
None
no
of that.
seed.
None of
You don't
that.
need that for babies or for
We're
gonna
clones
be
either.
down
to
You
just
just
water.
need a little
And we're
dish.
just sitting by, just aimlessly
Letting it happen.
going through
Oh, my
life,
God.
you know, and
I don't want to
and you know
sit
what?
by
I
and
don't
let
even.
it happen.
I know, but I don't think that this, you know, where people used to just throw off haphazardly the term conspiracy theories, now it's truth. It's probably always been truth. It's never been a theory. You know, so I believe
Right.
that they've been doing this for a while, and they consider this a conspiracy theory. It is not, but even the Air Force acknowledges that they control the weather.
Well, but you think about during this whole time, we put more time invested into whether somebody stands or kneels
I
for
know,
a
right?
pledge,
Can you
which
believe
is
it?
their constitutional right that we have to any of the crises that was going on. I mean, the president put more emphasis
Major
and tweeted.
deflecting.
There's a major deflection. He's deflected the entire time, I think, since he's been in office about the real issues at hand. I mean, and whether
Yeah, he's been in complete
crises.
deflection answer. You're right.
Yeah, like when he went to Puerto Rico, and he's like, "What's the death toll here? You've had 16 in comparison to millions. How do you make a comparison? I mean, whether it's 6 people to 600,000,
How do
it's
you-
still a
oh,
fatality.
gosh.
It's still a death. I mean, he said that on national TV.
And he also said to them that,
As
you
to say,
still
you should
owe
be
us,
lucky.
and y'all still owe us. Don't forget, Puerto Rico, you still owe us money. So, this is what he's saying. We're going to give you pretty much limited treatment because until you get out of debt
They
with
are
us,
our children. They
he
belong
doesn't
to
care
us.
about that. He doesn't care.
They
about
casted ballots.
The
and voted
government, the
as well.
U.S. government is why Puerto
Some of
Rico
them
is in
are-
shambles the
that.
way
That's
that
always
it is.
You know something else? I
They've kept
read?
it a third world country, and it's a
Yes.
U.S. territory.
I read somewhere that they also use weather to go into countries where they want things.
They want to take over the
when
land.
they want to take over
Oh,
the land,
yeah.
they'll create some, catastrophic
Yeah.
something, and then they go in like, "We're here to help you," Hey, I'm here
And
to help.
after they have,
And then they take,
yeah,
Yeah,
after
it's
they've
like
created
oil.
a
they take the
monsoon.
spoils of war.
Yeah.
And oil and gas, there's nothing a sandstorm of 5 can't.
Absolutely.
Help with.
Mudslides, you got avalanches, you got a lot of things that they can do.
Because think about it, what was the resolution for FEMA with the flooding and everything else to fix things? We'll buy you out.
That's always it, yeah.
Land grab.
Absolutely.
It's a land grab. We'll come in and
So they did it
So
with the Native
many
Americans,
Yeah.
back, what was it, 1890,
Yeah.
1892? I forget how the song goes, yeah. But, well, seriously, that's how I
Third grade
remember it. It
level.
was, it was
Yeah.
kind of in a rhyme. That's how we learned
That's
it.
true.
But that's what was done. Okay,
It's
well,
being
you know what?
done
We
that
brought
they're doing
diseases
it.
and everything over here. We see that's a weakness for you. Let's continue that.
Let's
So now
continue.
let's get smallpox infected blankets and everything
Yeah.
else and
And
diseased
fruits, and
food.
bringing fruits over.
And we're going to
have-
bring it to you so
Right.
we can wipe you out. And oh, lo and behold, we're also taking up your land.
And then for those who are not getting bought out or cheated out, they're being cloaked with debt by the Small Business Administration. They're being given loans that they know that those people will
And
probably
they just got a
never be able
loan
to
a couple,
get.
like maybe a year ago, to do whatever they were doing
Yes.
then. And then again, but to have 3 Category 4 hurricanes in less than a month, doesn't that
It's
do
right
something
back
to
to
you?
Well, and the strangest thing is we talked about this. We talked about how the powers to be here in our city met, and they knew the magnitude of which this storm was going to be. How do they know so certain? I mean, I know there's meteorology, but they knew. They knew absolutely, and they've been tracking it. It leads back to what you say. How does 3, all of a sudden reunite this power and this level of force? It just
doesn't
it
ring.
doesn't ring right.
Yeah.
It doesn't pass the smell test.
Wow.
Something's not right there.
But like you said, there was a part that says geoengineering must be brought into the day of light and to a halt. Those responsible for the climate engineering program should be seen as criminals that are participated in ecocide as well as genocide. And the corporate media, what you just said, and the meteorologists that serve them must also be exposed for the part they've had in hiding the aerosol spraying, which is your chemtrails.
Yeah.
See, we got to understand what is happening here, The whole,
I think a lot of, and I know I'm always the controversious about this, about spirituality in church, but I believe so many people choose to remain ignorant because they really want to believe that only God controls the weather. They want to believe that it is a gift given to us by the creator of life, and yet it is.
it should
Well,
be.
those
It
aren't
is.
people in true faith then.
But
because
it is.
Then you
That
should
was
know
the
that
original
what should be laid out has already been written in the Bible. So you
That's
shouldn't
right.
be afraid of what's going
That's
on.
right.
You should
Welcome
be-
it because
and you
you're
know
that's
that.
your proof. Hey,
but
you
they
see what was in
don't.
this
Exactly
book?
what he says.
But they don't, because they're in environments which foster and support and enable that type of
And
thinking.
living in fear.
Yeah, because my thought of it is, if we could get to a point that science can clone animals and clone
People.
children and
Synthetics
people,
and
why would you
laboratories.
not think that they could control the weather? And seeing this in the movie, and I understand that the movie was fictional, but as I was watching it in the
But was
movie,
it really?
I was they mapped it out to be fictional, but then I was thinking about it. Weather is a balance, is a keen balance of scientific
That's what I said, and
formulas,
mathematically.
mathematic
Right.
formulas. And so if we can figure out how to take a rocket ship to the moon, it's easy for us to figure out where the rain comes from and how to control it. And so I thought, it's a scientific equation, which is also a gift from the creator of life. So I just don't understand why people refuse to
Well,
believe.
see, this is what the system wants. They want you to not get it. They want you to be a follower.
Sheeple.
Sheeple. Just like the NFL, it wasn't for leaders. It's not for leaders. It's for people who want to hear and have their own opinion and disregard a purpose or a cause. Well, I tell you. So now when it rains, you have to really ask yourself, is this really rain? What
I'm
is this?
suspicious of the rain now.
That's what I said.
Well, think about it.
Yeah.
People used to save rainwater. Remember, we used to
I
have
still
rain
save
barrels.
rainwater for my
Yeah, but
plants.
now,
I save-
when you look at it, do you want to?
I know now.
'Cause it's
That's
not
true.
clear.
That's true.
It's got a tint to it. It's yellow, dingy
Does it have an
looking.
odor?
Not that I can see
Oh,
it,
you know,
but
Well, it could.
You know,
It could,
as
depending
a-
on where it's raining at. Because there's a lot of smog and lots of other airborne toxins.
You
So
know,
as
as
the
a-
rain comes down, it has to pick up some of that.
Absolutely. As a young woman, I used to save rainwater to wash my hair. I don't know if y'all ever heard of that.
well, yeah.
But now I save
when we
for
were
my
little,
plants.
right?
But,
When we were little in Mexico,
the
we go
water
to
was-
visit. It was okay. It's raining. You always had the bucket. Okay, that's fresh rain. That was from rainwater.
Okay,
So
it
we
was
we're
good,
hot outside.
yeah.
We drink it, whatever. Now it's just like, what are we putting in our mouth?
I know they didn't do that up north. The way you're looking.
No, I never heard of
Did
such
you
a
just
thing.
wait? You just wait until it was snowing and you ate icicles or what is
and
it?
we made ice. We made ice cream. We made ice cream out of snow. You remember
Some
that?
people
Did
would
you
do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we made ice cream out of
See,
snow.
we had a thing.
No, okay.
We had something that we did.
You
with
all
the
didn't see the
natural-
Yeah,
look.
that blank looked
She
like
had
what?
that look like, why would you drink dirty
Why
water?
would you drink-
Sounds awful.
Oh,
But
the
now,
things
not
we
only
did
is it-
down
I
south.
know.
Yeah.
It's no different than kids running
Because
through.
you know,
we talk about
droughts.
this.
You needed that water for your crops
Yes,
and
it
everything
is.
else
And it
too.
makes
That's
perfect
right.
sense.
You
And
know,
I
or
just,
wells run dry, so you know.
The other day we were talking about, and this is something silly that we all did as children, ran in the smoke.
Oh, of
From
the
the mosquito.
mosquito truck. We should all probably have toxic lungs. We thought
What?
that was
Like,
something
how
to
crazy is
you
that?
ran,
We
you rode
ran
your
in the
bike or you
smoke.
ran through the smoke when the mosquito truck came through your neighborhood, and there
That
was
was fun.
there's
We used to wait
traces.
for it.
Yeah,
Oh wow!
you hear
Okay,
blocks over, and you're
no.
like, oh, the mosquito truck's on the way. Yeah.
I'm gonna agree with Silky on her face for this
for the
one.
risk of being laughed
Well,
at,
he's from
mosquito
Houston.
truck.
Yeah.
Mosquito truck.
Yeah.
Well, the
Lightning from
exterminating,
Houston.
the exterminator,
Oh,
yeah, the
Yeah, here-
exterminator.
we sprayed for skeeters. You know, we got the Nile and Zika and
All
What else-
of
what else is
all
out-
of that is created.
So
what
I-
else do we have
So I
going?
had my moments of being
We all
enthralled
have.
in the smoke.
We
Not
all
the
have.
same smoke as others, but you know.
Yeah, right, exactly.
I've had
You
my
need to
toxic
consider
intake.
the safe smoke.
You know, but you have to wonder, even with that, that being a chemical product, chemtrails, another
Oh, yeah.
chemtrail, it's not any different, it's just not in the sky, but, surely that had, I don't even know that it killed the mosquito, did it? I don't remember.
I don't know, but
We
if,
were
if,
Or it was
you have
supposed
to
to
think
keep
about
them
it.
from spreading the disease,
Yeah.
but it's like, okay, well, if it's harmless, you're spraying something in the air to kill.
Hatch days,
or
hatch
get
days.
rid of, right? But you're telling me it's okay as a person. Oh,
Yes,
it's okay. You
for
can be
to-
out there.
Right.
No, but there's accounts of that where a young guy developed some type of cancer or some type of malnormity as a result of it. Yeah, it's been
Black
ongoing.
lung or something.
I don't know
It's a lot
exactly
out
what it's
there,
called,
did
but yeah, and it was a result of chasing the mosquito truck. Yeah.
Wow. And,
So-
you- and, your
And if you chase the ice cream truck, there is disadvantages to
Yeah,
that
right.
too.
Okay.
but you have people like Prince, just going back to people that were awakened
And
early
tried to tell us.
and tried to tell
Yeah.
you that they're chemtrails. Now, what comes to mind, one of my girlfriends from DC called, I think this was a couple years back, and they were having all these chemtrails over, flying over DC and Maryland and Virginia area. And shortly thereafter, I guess maybe a year or two after that, 7 women on one street.
Disappeared.
No, had cancer. 7 women on one street. So there's something going on, and if I'm not mistaken, I think at one point cancer was somewhat dormant, or it appeared to have been. And then now, it has a resurgence.
Was it the same type of cancer,
I don't
or it was
know.
just various, but still,
But still, 7
on
people
one
on one
block?
street?
Come on.
Yeah, I mean, come on. So they're doing
It's
something.
way too coincidental. Well, think about
they
think about
call
the
it-
movie Aaron Brockovich. That's
Oh,
what
yes,
she was made for.
that's
You know,
right.
the
That's right.
poisoning, the
That's what she was
cancer,
talking about.
radiation in the water,
And they
everything.
knew.
And she picked up. She's like, wait a minute, that's too much of a coincidence. These people here, these people there. There's
And
too
everybody's
much.
got
Pieces
cancer
together.
around
And
this
that's
area.
right. And that's what gave her the breakthrough on the lawsuit. But
My thought of it is, I don't know if you can believe every artist, because when I finally sat down and listened to Tina Marie's song Portuguese Love, I was like, what the crap was she smoking when she sang that song?
Portuguese Love?
Yeah, because some of the things she talked about in that song, I was like, she was either really from another planet,
She was with Rick James. That tells you.
or she was
Yeah.
smoking some really good stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know that you can listen to every message.
I like that song. I have to listen more
Where'd you
closely.
get that?
Listen to the words
Look at
of
the
it.
lyrics.
And she
Okay.
was talking about flying on the wings of an angel and some really twisted stuff. And I'm thinking, what the
What
crap
made
is
you
She was
hear
tripping,
that?
huh?
That's an old song.
I just happened to listen to it one day, and I
Mhm.
listened
One day.
deeply.
Yeah.
See, what
One day.
happened
Just go
was
back
I
and pull a
listen-
song from 1981 almost.
Actually, it came up in my playlist. It came up in a playlist
You
because
just
I was
listened
listening
to it
to
that
music
day.
from the 80s, and it came up in a playlist. And I was like,
Well, you know
what?
Tina Marie does our theme song.
I know, and I was thinking, where did she get that from? And I was thinking she must have been really high when she wrote the
Something-
Well,
lyrics.
you know, they were.
Or
like,
inspired,
I'm going to say not
What was she
necessarily high.
inspired by?
Sometimes it could be just
elevated
elevated.
consciousness.
Well, you know, that's what illumined means.
Yeah.
And you know, slaves used to be called illumined people. The slaves were because we were children of God. And
Right.
when you have God, you have the light. With the
Right.
light comes knowledge. So we
Right.
were the illumined ones. And like everything else, they took that and they've created Illuminati and all this other stuff. Everybody's,
Yeah.
you know, more awakened than God's real people,
Mm.
you know.
I
So it's
don't
just a
know.
sad thing. We just don't know what's real anymore. I
and
question everything now. I'm just,
right.
and I have for quite some time. So
The only
I'm
thing I
just
was
mad.
going to say is just for those who aren't familiar with chemtrails, for those who aren't woke,
Yeah,
and
right.
who decided to stay, you know, as sheeple, chemtrails, if you look up in the sky and you see, they're not clouds, but they're white streams. And there's been quite a few times, I don't see them as often anymore. I used to see the plane. And it flies higher up.
It flies
Well,
by.
then
You
the
can't
airline.
even hear it. You can't
Correct.
hear it.
You just see you just see a little white trail in the sky moving, and it's like, oh, that's a plane. You know, when we were little, be like, oh, that means it's a jet.
Right.
Those are jets
Jet
flying.
fuel. We thought it was jet fuel.
Yeah, no, that's
See, all of
see,
that
it's
is
okay. Don't
game.
look at me like that. Like me, you played in mosquito spray, okay?
Okay.
If I want to look in the sky and think there's jets
So
flying, then let me
drink
let me
rainwater.
have that, okay? Yay, okay, you're from the south.
We all
you
had
drink
childhood little things we did that didn't make sense, and that makes us who we are right now. Okay, all of
Okay,
us.
Sylvia, come on, tell us. Did you used to eat dirt and play, eat
No,
mud pies? Come on.
no, we didn't do that.
Oh, goodness.
We ate blueberries because they grew wild in
Oh, we
New
used to eat
England.
mulberries.
Blueberries,
Blueberries.
mulberry, we had mulberry
And blackberries.
I
trees.
did not find mulberries. Anyway, we're back.
Salt on your dirt.
I ate a few dirt pies, I'm sure. I don't know. I ain't no
You were
telling.
probably a baby when you did that.
When you're a
And
kid,
see,
you
that
ate
probably
everything.
wasn't real rain that y'all made your mud pies out of.
It may not have been real dirt either. I'm like,
Right,
goodness,
really.
oh.
May not have been real water.
Okay.
So,
Oh my!
but
Now you tell me this so many years later.
Now he's
you
devastated.
get
He's
all this
never
and
going
you
to be the
realize,
same.
oh my gosh, things that you just took for granted. And I think now having 3 Category 4 hurricanes should wake a lot of people up to saying, gosh, in less than a month, and
Yeah.
for years there was nothing
Yeah.
or very minimal, and now we've got.
So my post-Harvey anxiety encompasses all of that. It's like I'm afraid of the weather. When I see the rain now, I'm like,
Is
okay,
this-
is this really? Now I'm gonna say, is it really rain? But I've been saying, what's going on?
But see, a lot of those planes that fly high, they're also, what is it called? Kind of preparing the clouds for
Oh yeah.
precipitation
Yeah.
to make it
Oh.
rain.
Stimulating it.
Yeah, stimulating the
You're
clouds.
stimulating it.
So it's
Yeah.
a lot going on out there. And you have university, I think it's University of Iowa. They had learned how to create a tornado. Now, and I'm not sure why.
They have a whole lab
They have a
dedicated
whole
to that,
lab
to
dedicated
discovering
to
that. Yes, they do.
discovering. So again, in this document that we're going to have on our Facebook page, like I said, it's a 97-page document. You can peruse it at your leisure. But I mean, if you look through that and you raise your head from that and you still believe that the weather is natural, not much I can say at that
You
point.
are a special kind of stupid.
Yeah, I mean, all we can do is lead you there.
People
Really?
just don't want to believe that.
They don't want to know.
Want to believe that. No.
You can lead a horse to water, but do you really want them to drink? You don't know what they're drinking. I mean, it kind of makes you question everything. And if you go back, please take the opportunity to watch on YouTube Our Man Flint. It is with
Watch
James
that.
Colburn, the old school. But it's really, talking about
It's timely.
about
It's
how
still
we're living
timely.
now. And all these people, this movie, Our Man Flint, and what was the other movie, the book that, 1984?
1980. I was about to bring that
Yeah,
up with
I'm
George.
like, yeah, go ahead, I'll let you say
No,
it.
well, no, I was gonna say the same thing. What weren't they talking about?
Mass.
Weather weaponizing in the book.
Yes.
It's been years since I've read it. I need to
Yes,
reread it, but
that and
he
mass
talked about all of
surveillance.
that.
All of it. And this was 50, 60
correct.
years
Mass
ago.
surveillance, a utopian,
Society.
society, all of
Exactly.
that stuff. So Hunger Games and all that.
I said, lately they've been playing a lot of the Hunger Games on TV because,
People better take notes.
Yeah, because I keep saying,
Better figure out how to
when
survive.
they introduce something to you via TV, via the movies, it's because it's happening in plain sight. Now, ironically enough, we had geoengineering on our schedule from a month or
Before.
two ago,
Mhm.
maybe 2 months ago, and then now,
Like 3, it was the beginning of the summer.
yeah,
3.
yeah, it was over the summer. We
Well-
had no idea this was going to happen.
And as a result, I mean, it may not be a result of our storms, but it's awfully strange that I did a little research. Warner Brothers actually changed a couple of their trailers, and they actually changed how this movie was going to be released because of the storm. So it makes me wonder, you
I
know.
tell you,
And it
it's
is a
not- it's in
huge.
plain
This
sight.
movie had a huge budget, even though it doesn't have a lot of really high, you know,
Level
A-list
people.
actors in it. It had a huge budget for
Special
them to
effects.
do it in special effects, and so there is definitely something about that. Right at the same time, when Weinstein gets in trouble, you know, somebody from high. I mean, it's like it's right at the same time when there's so many other things that's going on. They create this deflection. What is that all about? I mean.
Right.
There's more to it. There's definitely more to it, and people should definitely be concerned about it.
We need to be concerned about every aspect of our lives. Food,
Especially
the weather.
Especially food.
Especially
and the
food.
Well,
weather.
food and weather go hand in hand.
Absolutely.
Go
they
hand
do.
in hand,
Because
yeah.
once they, kind of contaminate the weather,
Mhm.
then your food. So I would be concerned
gets
now of any
contaminated.
food coming out of Texas with this in this soil from the hurricane.
So I was
That
at
would be dirty,
a
huh?
friend of mine's who's ex-military, and he was all excited because he had just got these boxes of those meals that you talked about.
Oh, don't, wait a minute,
And-
that's
and-
pepper stuff. Don't get
Well,
don't
well,
get-
and, you know, and as he
I'm
was
a
showing me,
prepper.
he's like, "Oh, this is pepper steak," and
And
I'm
last
like,
25
and I was
years.
like, "Wait a minute, where was this food grown, or where was the substances from this stuff grown that's being packaged, and how is it packaged?"
It was packaged so early, but
But
my
where
stuff
was it
come-
grown?
I'm not sure. Well,
Uh-huh.
I don't know.
So does it matter that it's packaged and it lasts 25 years if it still comes from a rotten crop?
Either
I
way,
mean, where was it
I
grown?
don't think we can
We can't.
avoid. There's no
I
way.
know.
You just have to be aware
Mhm.
and be conscious of what you're consuming. But there's
So,
no way
I-
to go back as far as they've
No.
probably been doing this.
I have a
There's no
question.
way.
In your stockpile of what do they call it, MOVs or whatever their meals,
Prepper, what?
the meal rations, are yours
No.
all vegetarian?
Yes, I have.
Oh, I ain't coming to your house.
I have gluten.
I need some fish.
I'm going to give y'all this
We need
information
protein.
again. I am a prepper, understand that. But you have companies like Wise Food Storage, and then you have Thrive Life.
Mhm.
These are places out of Utah where mainly the Mormons are quite busy. And you've, like, sold homes to Mormons,
Right.
as have I. Now, in every home that they've got, or they have built, they have an extra pantry.
Yes.
Because
that's,
they are going to store food. They're prepping. They've been doing this for years. So I have food that'll last 25 years. I need to go back and check.
The
Yeah,
expiration.
but I do have, they have gluten-free, they have, they have pasta meals and
Yeah, they do.
vegetarian meals, but just go online. But it
Well,
just,
think about it, because that's what
online, you go
I
into
order-
regular grocery store.
And see, it
It's
just
in
makes
Utah,
me
order
wonder
online.
who's cooking that, where does it come from, and
Well,
is
it's like
it?
that. It's
They've
like
been feeding
military
that to our
rations.
military
It's
for
military
years.
rations.
It's
That's
military
all it
rations.
is.
MREs.
Military
Isn't that what it's called?
rations.
MREs?
MREs, that's it.
Exactly.
MREs, that's what I was
Yeah.
saying. Like, MREs, those rations. I mean, where does that food come from?
Well, again, like I said, we can't extrapolate all of the vileness and evil that's in the world, but
We do the best we
We
can,
do the best
but
we
to
can,
be
but to
aware
be
and do the
aware,
best
right,
we can.
because
That's what you're
this has been
suggesting.
going on for quite
You
some
better
time.
start getting a green thumb and
And I tell you something else.
I'm already part of
There's-
a garden club.
There's something. There's
Are
a
you?
product. There's
I
a
am.
product, guys, that puts out a tower garden,
yes.
and the tower garden is, I guess it's an aeroponic, so it's kind of all
Oh, yeah.
consumed, and you can grow your herbs, and I've seen beautiful cucumbers and zucchini and stuff come off of this with no dirt. So, but they're expensive. But you
Gotta
can at
pay
least
for
you
quality.
can at least grow, your own foods, because you know what, it may just come down to that.
Yeah, you at least know what you've put
You
into
know
it or
what
what
you
you've
have.
done to it. So.
Yeah, and you don't have to worry about the bugs and the squirrels and everybody kind of picking on because it's in the house or on your patio or something like that. But I think that's a good viable product. And as I mentioned before, most of the master plan communities now are coming up with community gardens.
Community
Again,
gardens.
but they're being watered by what? Fake rain.
Yeah.
Hell,
Well,
yeah.
and they're probably
You
being
got
they're probably being seeded by
That's what
monitoring
I'm
seeds.
saying. Exactly. So how do you
Yeah.
right?
Of the seeds.
I don't
And
even
those,
think
those
marijuana
seeds
has
could
seeds
those seeds
anymore.
could be making your kids
Some.
sterile. We talked about that on a show some time ago. How those seeds create, the effects of
Autism and everything else.
autism,
Yeah.
making family sterile.
Everything is
There's a
done
lot of
to
side
create.
effects. But why population control? We have enough of that already. I mean,
Well,
yeah.
they have to, the post.
Remember the Georgia guys?
I was going to say,
like,
the
no, we're still way too
that's
many.
right.
I think
That's
if I
right.
had my choice, this is cold and evil. I think if I had my choice, I would just rather, have more planes fall out of the sky or something. You know what I mean? Why not
No.
storms? I mean, why tear up the
It's
land?
only catastrophic.
Because he doesn't want to be inconvenienced.
Yeah.
That's why.
You're absolutely right.
No,
You're
A plane
absolutely-
crash is not going to inconvenience him too much.
But that'll take
No,
about
unless it falls in your
500 at a
neighborhood.
Unless it
time.
falls in
Or
your
if
yard,
one of your friends-
or
oh,
one of
That's
your
right.
friends is on a
Don't
plane.
give life to that comment. That kind of scares me. I don't like stuff like that. Because
See, anyone who's friends with lightning,
I
y'all
have-
are just
I have
collateral
some
damage.
fascination.
See, I
Okay.
believe what you
So-
put in the universe, yeah.
It's gonna
People
happen anyway.
travel every day. People travel every day. But more importantly, this is being done to us on a grand scale, but in small little increments, until ultimately you have issues with your organs and all this other stuff.
Between
so
cancer and diabetes, I think they're doing enough population control.
yeah, that's true. Because
But not
that's
fast
true.
enough.
It's not fast enough, exactly.
And it's too costly, right? They're on Medicare and insurance.
Well,
right?
that's-
Right. Well, they have
That's
to
the-
figure out a way to get rid of Medicare and all of that good stuff. So now those who have been on, cancer and AIDS medication and all that other good stuff, they can't make money off of people who
Well,
can't
say-
afford it.
Right.
That's true. You stop and think about all that the weather does. How, just our environment, food processes and everything. It's kind of scary because you can't get away from it unless and until you grow your own crops and stuff.
Well, and it is amazing to me how
Back to basics.
we had former president, it was Gore, who was really pushing, his whole idea was
Well, he was the one, him and Clinton
climate
were the ones
change
who
and
started this.
climate change and global warming.
Right.
But at least he was willing to try
was
to
willing
talk
to
about
talk
it.
about it,
He
right.
wanted to bring it mainstream and have conversations about it, and he wanted to make it part of his campaign, and he did make it part of his campaign. That was one of
Well,
the
they
things
stole that
he
campaign
wanted to
and gave it
focus
to
on.
Bush.
They did, and then they completely silenced that. I mean, we've not heard about it, and since then, none of the presidents that have run have ever brought it up.
And like I said, the military has addressed the fact that yes, we can control the weather. And again, you can go look at that 97-page document that we're going to put on our. It's 97 pages.
She
Okay.
keeps saying 97
Yes,
pages,
because
and
it's
I'm like,
lengthy.
oh my.
It's lengthy. It gives you all the corroboration that you need to lift your head up from there and say, "Oh my gosh, this is real."
Right.
So
And in their defense, they can say, well, we didn't hide anything from you. We let
It's
you know
there.
it was
It's
there.
in plain
It's not my fault. You didn't want to read
the
97 pages.
pages.
To see what was going on. No, seriously. 'Cause
Where
that's
do you
what
hide
they do.
things you don't want
Exactly
people
how
to
they
know
do it.
about? In a book.
Absolutely. Think about it. What did we also talk about during the break? Early voting is starting.
That's right.
Because
Yes.
Silky made that comment and
It's
commented
a
about it.
huge ballot.
Yes, and
Huge
that's how we got
ballot.
started on that conversation. It's like, why? Because nobody wants to take the time to read it.
Well, and
and they know this.
It's Harris County early voting, and there is a sample ballot online, and it's huge. I mean, it's long. There's lots of
People
stuff
read
on
those
it.
propositions and
And
everything.
that's right. If you read the
wording.
propositions, I didn't even get through the first page, and I was like, "This is way too much. I don't know that I will vote." But because none of them really, were immediately addressing concerns that I have. But then I thought, you've got to take some time to read this because I'm sure there are some things in there that do. And it was
This is by
amazing
design.
how they snuck things
This
in
is
that
by
didn't have
design.
anything to do with something else. I thought, wow, this is how they get things
This
passed.
is how they get
a
things
lot of the
passed, yeah.
presidential, the
Right.
documents, they go there and have hidden documents in between.
Oh, yeah.
That's for something else
Yeah.
that you never hear about.
I would
Right, and then
definitely
we all
encourage
do
people
the
to
So we're trying
read
to
that.
figure out.
Right, and then we all do the typical Trump response. Well, did you read this or did you know? But it was a lot of good info. Really, really, really good info. So if you have the time, you should read it.
I fought
Okay,
the
next
community
question.
leaders.
Right.
I fought the community leaders instead of having all these potlucks and get together and let's talk about who's
Yeah.
on sing on the next Sunday gospel show. I think community leaders should be holding rallies to inform people, to inform their constituents, to inform their members. This is what's on the, these are what's
It's
on the
on the
ballots.
ballot.
Come and just hear about them. Hear each one of them. This is what, give them more the layman's term if they need to, if they don't want to read all the verbiage in the proposition. So that's
And get
what
out
I
and
learned.
vote. It actually makes a
Yeah,
change.
yeah.
Let's get out
Encourage
and vote.
people and inspire them, educate them.
But on that note, I think we're going to go to break. We'll be right back.
Somebody comment a bunch of scary people.
They said they don't believe us.
What happened? What happened?
No, she's saying more people
Stay
comment.
tuned.
Oh, is it like
No.
They
So I'm
said-
like, they're not. Sounds like a bunch of scary people. They don't want to give their
Or
opinion.
maybe they just.
What's this commercial? I can't remember. Is that Pablo or somebody?
Vivid? That's Vivid.
Who's that?
The security.
security system?
No.
Big Papa Doc. Remember when you decoded it?
This is Papa Doc.
Mhm.
That's what I want to make sure I couldn't remember. I got so many commercials I can't keep up with.
Guess me what?
Commercials I can't keep up
Oh
with.
yeah, yeah. We
Oh,
trying to
and
keep
I also put his graphic on our event.
Okay.
You notice the picture
Yeah,
I
I
had for
saw
the
that.
event?
Okay.
It's
Mhm.
with his graphics.
Okay, excellent. So what's up? You got everything on? Because you need to plan a thing for how we're going to handle on the 14th when Susan comes in, the wellness warrior. I don't know what she's talking. You need to find out what's going on. I don't know how are we doing that as a segment because our show doesn't necessarily need to be on whatever
Right,
she's bringing. She just has a health segment,
right.
right? So that's going to be a couple minutes.
So I have them on our page, our Facebook page, with the event.
Yeah.
So that's on there, but
Yeah.
I need to change our cover. Take Gloria's down and put his up, because that's what he paid for.
So she's gonna be with us November 14th,
Susan.
so I need to hear her and give her time.
Yeah, and how
I could
how
just
long
kinda
she was
remind her.
talking.
What, 15, 20
Sure.
minutes? Thanks, everyone says she wants this. Gotcha, you
I
know, you
think
got
just
those
15.
cute little cute tops.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna
Probably
just
do
play
that
it
for
so
the
you
top.
Yeah, the
I'm gonna
big
just
trendy
feel
stuff
it while
that
I'm
you
in
put
the
on the living room.
Talk about geoengineering.
What? It's raining. That's about as legal as the real weather.
I did it for him.
ready?
It's your song.
Yes.
It's raining, man. Why is that my song?
Well, I just thought, you know, I wasn't.
You got jokes?
That's my jam.
Just so you know, I don't like it dark and late.
Y'all ready?
And we are back. You're listening to All About You with OMG and Friends, where we talk about the things that you think about. You know, we want you to really think about what we're talking about. This isn't just idle conversation. We come in every week and we try to bring something to you that you may not have had an opportunity to pay attention to. You may have been asleep, but it's time to actually consider being awakened now and actually get woke, as they say.
Yeah, stay woke.
For sure. But at any rate, you know, the weather, it's raining men. Hell, that's a hell of a good one.
Yeah, that
It's
is some
better than-
geoengineering.
Yeah, better
Okay,
I
than
know.
everything else that's falling out of the sky
I
or that they're
know,
putting
right?
in.
I know, right?
Yeah.
You know, the military can, in fact, control droughts, floods, hurricanes, earthquakes, as we had said earlier, and even precipitate us having the poor quality of food that we have. You know, again, the weather being just one segment is actually being carried over into just about every aspect of our lives once you start eating and consuming and drinking.
Right, or trying to live,
Or trying
or
to live
trying to
your
figure out
life.
where you want to live, where you're going to
Exactly.
build your home or have your family at. Because think about it,
Absolutely.
we had to deal with flooding. Okay, where that's our plight here in the South. Well, in California, they're having to deal with wildfires.
I don't know that I believe all those fires are just
Started.
started.
Well, no,
I
well,
just, again,
well, normally
it's
the way
another-
they start, they have controlled fires. You know, if there's, I know there's plenty of firemen who listen to our show also. If maybe you can help us out, let us know. But my understanding was you always have controlled fires because that helps with as far as renewing, regrowth, that type of thing. But then there's times where either people, you know, with a cigarette or they started a fire where they shouldn't have and they didn't put it out, and that's how it erupted. And to this, I still have yet to hear any real reason as to how these wild,
things
yes,
just
even
happen.
started.
It's supposed to be so dry. It's supposed to be so dry.
Right, you know, because normally
So
they're
it just
real quick
starts
to
from
say, hey,
nothing?
you know, it was a controlled fire that got out of control when they weren't able, or
Every
you know,
year.
or you know, it was a controlled fire, and then they noticed that a random fire was somewhere else, and then that ignited everything and made it a disaster. Because what was it? Not last year, maybe a couple of years
I was
ago.
going to say this
There was a
happens
big, huge
frequently. This
thing.
happens, yeah.
Huge thing.
You know, so I
Well,
just don't
and
believe
not
that.
only that, even though that it was going on for so long, it didn't seem like up until most recently that they really aggressively start doing a lot to try to minimize it or control it. They said they were, but it burned really hard. I mean, what, for a week?
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden they kind of got it under control, and I thought, I don't know. It seems like that doesn't seem like they were doing everything that they could
Well,
do.
you have fake news, you have fake weather, you have fake.
Right, because
Drama, you have-
those fires also affected people who had never had to deal with
That's
that before.
right.
They said that we've lived here X amount of years, our entire lives,
Never.
and wildfires were never concerned for us. It always happened over there.
Yeah.
I don't know what would be
They
worse,
can
to return
aim something
to
from the satellites that causes.
a house of
Around
sludge
us.
or a house of ashes.
I don't know, either one, not good.
I think I'd rather have a house of ashes.
Yeah. Well,
You'd rather have a house of ashes?
I'd rather, because that's easier for me to clean up and let me start over.
Yeah, instead
Yeah,
of
you
trying
can
to
just
figure out.
sweep it.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Get a good burn.
You know what I mean? Because it's done. It was with
It's
sludge
all
when we're
over.
dealing with flooding. I'm
You're
having to
emotionally-
do the demolition. I'm having
Yeah.
to do the cleanup. I'm
Yeah.
having to put this back up. Whereas with the fire, it's like, okay, what's already down?
Well, you don't have to have fire insurance. That is covered.
And you know what else?
And
With the
disease.
flood, you've got mold and you've got those
That's
termites
right.
and stuff that come
Water is
afterwards.
no
So I think
joke.
I'd rather come
but
home
if
to
you
the
Let me
think
fire.
start
about
fresh.
that-
Water is
But
so-
if you
that's
think
good,
about
that's
that,
good.
if you think about it that aspect, if that's the case, that all those houses that burn, insurance companies are going to have to pay those claims. I mean, is this not a way to shake money out of the hands of corporations that have been sitting on their money? You think about it like that, because all those, some of the wealthiest corporations are insurance companies. They collect
Yeah,
all
but
these
they're also
premiums, and
government
they
owned,
don't.
government run.
They are
privately.
government owned, but a lot of those funds are tied up privately in all the other types of funds, hedge funds and other types of funds, and that money is controlled privately as well. It's not circulating, so now it's forcing it back into the marketplace.
Right.
Because those policyholders have got to get paid, and they've got to go out and spend money. It stimulates our economy. I mean, you really think about it. All the new houses that are going to get built, all the new jobs that are going to come about as a result.
Very true, because even when they were talking about Harvey hitting and it getting closer, a lot of people were just like, okay, it's just to stimulate the economy. It's not really going to happen.
Yeah, because
It's not really going to hit. Well, they weren't too far wrong. It was.
Because I know somebody that's got a very good job because of FEMA. A very good job training in Dallas and maybe transferred to Florida for quite some time. It was like
That could be
unexpected.
recruited.
Well, that's really good, because I've had a friend that worked doing the out in the field doing the
Right.
claims, and
Right.
it was a total opposite. It was a catastrophe. He'd gotten all the training and certification and fingerprinting, and yet they were so backed up that
Same thing with my friend.
they actually weren't even paying them. So
Right.
and I probably shouldn't share this, but the unfortunate part about it
What
is
the hell? Go ahead.
unfortunate part about it is for so many people who said that FEMA hasn't visited them, the reason that those people hadn't come out is because a lot of those people who got training refused to go out and be in the field to do any training or inspections, is because they hadn't been paid for the training that they had did weeks prior. So they's like, until FEMA sends me a check for all the weeks that I was in
I've
training,
already done.
I'm not going out into the field. And
What's
so
wrong
those
with being
claims were
altruistic and just doing it.
those claims were just stacking up. I mean, and people were just sitting in their homes.
Oh.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. So it's a broken system as well.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Because and it was actually this morning. Someone, a friend, posted on Facebook, "Hey, FEMA finally made it out to Humble, which is in North Harris
45
County."
days later.
So they're like 2 months later, they're finally out there. So
That's true. A lot of the claims are just stacked up. They're assigned to someone, and then that person is just, sitting home saying, no, I haven't gotten the check, so I'm not doing anything.
and you know what? I made the claim right when they opened up the lines,
too.
when they were allowed to. So that was in the very front. And it took them a month and a half
It
to
took
say, hey,
me
we've been
too.
trying to get in contact with
But you know what? They
I'm gonna call you
declined.
today. I'm like, well, it's too late now.
They
picked up the
declined
Like,
it.
I have nothing for you.
They denied it within 12 hours. It took them 35 days to get to me, but they denied the claim. I mean, they came out one day, and by the next day, it sent me an email and said, your status has been updated on FEMA, and it said, denied, yeah, ineligible. But then they tried to get me to withdraw, but then they did send me an invitation. They said, well, we encourage you to fly. We encourage you to
Clothes and
get food and
welfare.
clothes. We encourage you to apply with the Small Business Administration and put this noose around your neck.
I know, really, because that's all they kept pushing.
Yeah.
That's all they kept pushing on everything is
Yeah.
small business on small business
Small
on small
business,
business. That's
yeah.
everything they kept pushing.
It was funny. I heard that.
This is to have you obligated.
That's right.
Okay.
A little old
And
lady
time-
called in and she said during the last storm, she got a small business loan and she's still paying it off.
That's what I
Now
said
she
before.
has to get another one.
That's
And they're
it.
Back
just
on
saying,
top.
well, yeah, just call this number, you can get another one. And I'm like, that's not answering her problem.
So you're not in credit card debt to U.S. Bank or Citibank. Now you're in credit card debt to
The
U.S.
FEMA.
government.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Directly.
so if you really think about it, let's make all the private money come out of the insurance company's pocket. Let's make everybody in the pockets of who? The United States government.
Big brother.
Wow.
Yeah.
We
So
hope that
it
this
seems to
has
be
enlightened
controlled
you in some way. Yeah,
for
this is,
monetary reasons.
yeah, everything, if you look back at it, it's for a purpose other than your well-being. How
Absolutely.
about that?
I don't know, it is. So it's
So
unfortunate.
what are we talking about? Oh, so you want to say anything in closing
Yes,
in regards to
in
the
closing,
election?
the
We wanna
election.
Make sure we get our
I
information.
just want to let everybody know that early voting started yesterday, so you can vote anywhere.
This is for Harris County.
And this is for Harris County. Election day is November 7th. And these are bond issues that are coming up. There's several bond issues, and some of them are to protect pensions for city workers. You know, they say without raising taxes, and also for the Houston's infrastructure. That's what the bond issues are, and the mayor claims that it's not going to raise taxes or anything. But of course, I did go in there and take the time to read them, and it did say that they could, levy taxes. So that's not entirely true, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't vote. I voted yesterday. I'm happy I voted. I am a person who believes in voting,
Absolutely.
so I can complain, but I do vote.
Real quick, since you actually had the opportunity to go through there, because one of my main things, I live in Harris County, but I don't live within the city limits.
I was just
So,
going to say that.
A lot of those bonds, I can't do anything about. I'd like to know about them, because my main concern had to do with HFD, with the Houston Fire Department, and how they were getting screwed over
Right.
and continue to be
They
getting screwed
they
over.
were mentioned, and it says
Especially
that
after
there's a bond
Turner
issue
won
to
his election
protect
off their backs.
their pensions, because that was some big
Right.
issue, and now they're rectifying the problem with this bond
We had some
issue.
issues
So
with the
that
mayor with that, didn't they?
so they're
Yes.
rectifying the
Yeah,
problems with people's pensions. So now everybody will be able to get their pensions as they should.
And I saw some things on there for the city of Bel Air, which a lot of people think that they vote in the city of Bel Air. They don't have to vote in the city of, in the county, and that's absolutely not true. So West University, city of Bel Air,
All the little
those
annex
areas, those have to.
And
So
those are Hunters Creek and all
yeah,
those little
they are
places.
still Harris County, and
Yes.
those things do affect us. But this is a sneaky way for them to get a lot of things
Here we
passed.
go
Absolutely.
again. Here we go
Yeah.
again.
Here we go
So-
again. Sneaky, sneaky, sneaky. Read the fine print, people.
Hey.
Take the time. It makes a huge difference.
Get a magnifying
I
glass if
did.
you can't see it. Hell, I
So
do.
you all asked our next
New
week.
bathroom material.
Our next week's topic is going to be Halloween. Is it and its meaning? Why do we celebrate it? So we're going to talk about that.
Do
The
you
real
celebrate
truth.
Halloween just for the hell of it?
Well, I did eat some candy on the way in, so I
So
celebrate
you
that
do
part.
celebrate. I like Halloween candy
Wait
too.
a minute. I will talk about this on next week's show, but but it's
just
really
give
bad
us-
because I get a kick out of it. But
Give us our closing.
yeah, I'll close you all out. So, transform expectations into no matter what. It seems to me that we often almost sulkily reject the good that God offers us because at the moment we expect something good. So basically, in short, we don't accept what's there because we're expecting something else. So I would think that in reading that, what the thought comes out of that is even though we're having all these storms and everything's being controlled, there still must be some greater good because that is that the creator of life is still in control. And all that's being done, ultimately at the end of the day, can be made for good. So even if it appears bad, it still can be made good.
And let us pray.
Amen.
Thank you to all of our sponsors and listeners. Check out our website at www.allaboutyouShow.com. That's all about you, the letter U, show.com. Join our live feeds on our Facebook page, OMG and Friends, and follow us on Twitter at All About You Show. Remember, at All About You, we talk about the things you think about.
those people that they don't want.
That's what every time I see festivals, I'm like, oh my God, I gotta call him and get him on our calendar.
Yeah, but see, we needed to have him in August because his book was on education. That's what we needed to talk to him in the restroom. Y'all gonna make the recording? Y'all can turn it on.